Hi, and welcome back to Positive Psychology. And here we're going to look at chapter on gratitude, hope, and optimism. Taking a positive perspective on life is the defining feature that links these three constructs. All three are strongly correlated, and all three have been shown to enhance one's well-being. Now, it's an important distinction to make, and I've made it in chapter 1, is that correlation is different from cause and effect. Cause and effect are direct links. When one thing happens, the effect is expected. That's not the case with correlation. Correlation is saying, is saying that when gratitude occurs, hope and optimism also occur. They appear often together. However, there is no direct and single link. Just that when one is present, the others are also in the area. Gratitude involves taking a positive perspective on the past or present. Taking a positive perspective on the future is central to hope and optimism. Pay close attention in this chapter, as our assignment will be inclusive of gratitude. And we're going to start by considering optimism and gratitude, a positive mindset. So we'll start with a little bit of some definitions that will run through the chapter. A positive mindset, as I mentioned. Optimism and gratitude are central elements to a positive mindset. And a positive mindset is really just sort of having a positive spin on the world that you engage in on a day-to-day basis. Optimism involves taking a positive perspective on the future. We expect the future to hold good things in store for us. Now, gratitude involves taking a more positive perspective on the past and our present. We are grateful for the good things that we received or that we currently have now. Now, this optimistic, grateful, positive mindset is the opposite of the negative mindset associated with depression. In depression, there is a negative perspective of the self, the world, and positive outcomes. Optimism and gratitude are both associated with positive outcomes in important life areas. These areas include the well-being, that is the PERMA well-being, subjective well-being, and psychological well-being. Now you can remember those when we were looking at the PERMA, which was on Chapter 1 and 2. Now, if we consider health, physical and mental health, and the adaptive coping with stress, loss, and trauma are affected in a positive way. Relationships, positive early life, and of current relationships, career, work, educational, and support performances, and satisfaction are all affected. So let's get started and begin with gratitude and learn some more about what we can do. Now we're going to begin by doing a part 1, and it's going to be of gratitude. In part 2, we'll include the other two topics of hope and optimism. So for gratitude, and a reminder of the definition, there we go. Gratitude involves taking positive perspective on the past and or the present. We are grateful for good things that we receive or that we have right now. Now, the Latin foundation for the word gratitude comes from the word gratia, and it means grace, graciousness, or gratefulness. And so the foundation of the word gratitude comes from far back, actually. Now, a couple of researchers, Robert Emmons and Michael McCullough, define gratitude as arising when 1. We recognize that something good has happened to us. 2. That an external source is responsible for the good things that happen to us. And that 3. Good things are experienced as undeserved or unearned. It's not like you got paid for work, therefore you're grateful. You might still be, but that's not the conditions by which true gratefulness are expressed. So let's look at a few of those points. One was the external source may be, well, what is the external source? Well, it could be another person, an animal, a deity, nature, or the universe. We are grateful for the benefit. We are grateful to the benefactor. And grateful emotions urge us to engage in pro-social behavior. And pro-social behavior are all those sort of good, friend-based behaviors that we could engage in with other people. Well, can we measure gratitude? Well, yes and no, but let's look. Gratitude is measured with short, self-report instruments that assess the general trait of gratitude, or, now we're going to be using two terms, trait and state. So these self-report instruments, they assess the general trait of gratitude or the specific momentary state of gratitude. Okay. Now, the distinction may be between trait and state gratitude. We have to sort of separate the two. Trait gratitude has an alternative name. It's also known as dispositional gratitude. And it's the general tendency to respond to grateful emotions and actions to the goodwill of others toward us. This stable characteristic lowers the threshold of experiencing grateful emotions, and it constitutes a self-reinforcing pattern. In this pattern, each time that state gratitude is experienced, trait gratitude is strengthened. State gratitude is experienced as a positive, relatively brief, momentary psychophysiological emotional reaction. So psychophysiological, we have an experience in terms of how we perceive the event, and physiological, we have a physiological response, an emotional reaction to receiving the unearned gift or benefit from an external source. And like all emotions, gratitude prepares us for action. Negative emotions also prepare us for action, but different actions. But gratitude prepares us for actions. And in the case of gratitude, it prepares our body to engage in more pro-social behavior. And that's one of the benefits. The more we experience gratitude, the more we search out and engage in pro-social behavior. So we've been looking at, can we measure it? Well, there's a couple of ways we can. One is known as gratitude adjective checklist. It's a GAC. And it's assessing state gratitude, that momentary brief experience of gratitude. Respondents rate the degree to which the adjectives grateful, thankful, and appreciative accurately describe how they are feeling in the present moment. The second questionnaire is known as the Gratitude Questionnaire 6, or the GQ-6. It is the most widely used measure of trait gratitude. Respondents rate the degree to which they agree with 6 statements. The statement will be like, I have much in my life to be thankful for. And they rate them, and that gives a trait condition feedback. And thirdly, and this is what we did in Chapter 2, the VIA-IS is another measure of which gratitude can be recognized. Well, we might be able to say that there could be, and maybe there will be, more means by which to measure trait and state gratitude. But some of the factors that might influence gratitude, well, we can begin with some of our cognitive factors. Cognitive is another psychological term for thinking, our thinking patterns, the way we think. So what influence of cognitive factors? Well, the level of gratitude we experience is determined by the extent to which we recognize four things. One, that we have received an undeserved gift. So we need to be able to recognize that. It's not hard, but it's one condition. The second condition is that the gift or the value of the gift, that we recognize it. Now, a researcher who we'll revisit a few times in this chapter, Susan Elgo, she studied gratitude in college sororities where established members, the big sisters, showered the new members, little sisters, anonymously with gifts during the first week in the sorority to make them feel welcome. At the end of the week, when the identity of the big sisters was revealed, they perceived thoughtfulness of the gifts, their psychological value to the recipients. It predicted the level of gratitude experienced by the little sisters. And then the third point, the goodness of the giver in intentionally and freely giving the gift or benefit which was costly to them. The gratuitousness of the gift which exceeds the normal expectations that we have of others. In a vignette study, Daniel Bardell found that people felt less grateful towards their mothers than they did a stranger for the identical favor. Now that's an interesting perspective, that we maybe don't see the acts of our immediate family as being the same as someone who's a complete stranger in terms of gratitude. Let's move on. Personality factors in gratitude. Now, these traits have positive correlations with gratitude. Now remember, correlations are not cause and effect. They present themselves at the same time. So some of these personality traits, agreeableness, religiosity, empathy, humility, self-esteem, are positively affected. These following traits have negative correlations with gratitude: narcissism, cynicism, and materialism. So those are personality factors. They have an influence, but where might gratitude start? Can we find it in the parent-child relationship? Well, children develop greater trait gratitude when their parents provide them with a secure attachment experience. Now, secure attachment experience is a psychological term that's basically saying that the parent-child relationship is secure and strong. They're being good people, doing good things. They don't expect undue expectations from children. It's a secure and safe environment. There are three other attachment styles. Secure attachment is the more positive and the best one. The other three are variations of less secure. So that's important. Provide a secure attachment experience. 2, act as a gratitude role model. Demonstrate it, show it, model it. 3, socialize them to be thankful. That doesn't mean forced thanks, but seize the opportunities. And then place them within more gratitude-related activities, play dates with other children and family that express gratitude. But you might begin to wonder, well, that's fine, I can influence my child, but is there a genetic element to gratitude? Is there something deeper than just socializing? Glenn Fox induced gratitude in participants while they underwent functional magnetic resonance imagery, the fMRI. And they were asking the participants to focus on feelings of gratitude and to rate them as they read first-person accounts of intense feelings of gratitude by Holocaust survivors that the Holocaust survivors experienced when they received life-saving food and clothing from strangers. Gratitude ratings correlated with activity in the regions of the brain of the medial prefrontal cortex. So there is a place in our brain where gratitude experiences seem to live. A twin study shows that gratitude was about 40% heritable. That's showing a genetic element. Variants of two genes are associated with gratitude. The first gene is the COMPT gene, which affects the neurotransmitter dopamine. And dopamine is associated with our reward system. Anytime that we have positive emotions that we're feeling really good about, it's involving a neurotransmitter. It could be dopamine. Serotonin is another one that do touch into the reward system. The second gene is the CD38 gene, which affects oxytocin. Now this you might know as another term that's used in popular culture, the love hormone or the tend and befriend hormone. Oftentimes when moms have given birth at that moment, their body is flooded with oxytocin, which creates this stronger bond between child and mom. Now what, if any, role does evolution? Have we invented gratitude, or has gratitude been around for a while? Gratitude is not something that we have only got in today's world. Gratitude has a history. So what role, if any, has gratitude had in the past? We'll look at some of the early evolutionary theories that propose that gratitude evolves because it supports cooperative relationships vital to the survival of the species. Robert Trivers, he proposed that gratitude was reciprocal altruism. Basically, he's saying that gratitude evolved to promote a tit-for-tat or reciprocal altruism, and that the amount of gratitude that we experience is determined by the cost and benefits of altruistic acts. So that was interesting from the point of view that gratitude emerged early on out of a give and take within a group. Martin Nowak and Sebastian Roque came up with upstream reciprocity. They proposed that gratitude evolved to promote passing on benefits to third parties. Now, another way to express that would be paying it forward. But I'm not paying it forward to just people that I like. I pay it towards people that I know as strangers and who I think could benefit. Strengthening non-kin relationships, well, Michael McCullough, he proposed that gratitude evolved to strengthen non-kin, meaning non-family relations, and then so is more strongly evoking these non-kin rather than kin relationships. Now, if you remember, and I mentioned you should try to remember, this hypothesis is supported by the Bartels findings, where participants felt less gratitude towards their mother than towards strangers for the same behavior. And so that's where it's supported. Now, we can look at later evolutionary theory, something more current, where they proposed that gratitude evolved to facilitate making and maintaining psychologically intimate relationships, not just improving economic benefit or the tit for tat with relationships with strangers. Now, one of these theories is what's known as broaden and build theory. Barbara Fredrickson, she proposed that the positive emotions of gratitude does not elicit narrow tit-for-tat responses, but much broader creative responses that enhance the quality of the relationships for the long term and so benefit the survival of the species. A second theory, as I mentioned earlier, Sarah Elgo was prolific in her research, and she came up with find, remind, and bind theory. She proposed that gratitude evolved to support the establishment and maintenance of really good close relationships. It helps people find others who are good candidates for close relationships because they are particularly tuned in and responsive to their needs. It reminds people of the value of close relationship. It binds them to partners and friends by making them feel appreciated and by encouraging behaviors that prolong relationships. And now, again, Sarah Algo, the witness effect theory. Now, here she's proposing that witnessing, watching others help using gratitude. So if I see two people expressing gratitude, that strengthens the relationship quality between me, the witness, and those supports that I observed. So that quality of the support is developed in a communal group alliance that I can feel stronger about those two people and myself because of what I witness. This was the extension of the find, remind, and bind theory from a dyadic to a group level. Now, a dyadic level is between two. Group is many. And that's showing gratitude is beyond just two people. It can involve the witnesses of what was witnessed. Excuse me. All right. Benefits. Are there benefits to gratitude? Well, we've already alluded to there is a lot of benefits. And I'm going to walk through 2, but there are 5 in your text. First is well-being. Gratitude leads to well-being. It leads to pro-social behavior. It leads to quality couple relationships. 4, functioning in organizational contexts is much better. And 5, mental and physical health. And like I said, I'm going to look at 2 of them. We're going to look at well-being and mental health and physical health. So let's look at well-being. The rest of these are in your text, so you should be able to find them there. Well-being, gratitude leads to greater well-being because it facilitates activation of the gratitude schema. A schema is your thinking patterns about certain things. You would have a schema for playing baseball or engaging in games with your friends. You know what the thinking is supposed to be, and so you use that schema during those activities. Gratitude has a schema, has a thinking pattern. So well-being, activation of the gratitude schema, it keeps us thinking in more gratuitous ways. More positive self-evaluations. When things occur, we start to evaluate what we are experiencing in more positive ways. Greater mindfulness. Now, we'll be visiting that in a later chapter, so hang on to that. A stronger sense of meaning and purpose in life. Well, that's one of the tenets of positive psychology. To have a stronger sense of what your purpose in life is will give you so much information about what to do next and your goals. The use of an active coping style to deal with life challenges, and greater support from friends, romantic partners, and family. Now, the second one I'll look at is mental and physical health, and we'll start with mental health. Gratitude is associated with better mental health, indexed by less depressed mood, less suicidality among those that are at risk, better adjustment among people with drug and alcohol problems, and greater post-traumatic growth. Gratitude enhances mental health because it facilitates the positive reframing of difficult situations. Instead of ruminating on how bad something is, I'm able to reframe and see it in a different light that might be more positive and therefore more adaptable. More adaptive coping as a result, and self-compassion. For physical health, gratitude is associated with better perceived physical health. Our sleep is improved. Adjustment to illness, including heart disease, arthritis, and inflammatory bowel disease. It doesn't mean those things go away. It just means we manage our experience much more positively. Improvements in biomarkers of health, including inflammation and blood pressure. Gratitude enhances our physical health because it facilitates a healthier lifestyle. It helps when we need to seek for health problems, we follow prescribed medical regimes accordingly, and greater social supports from friends, family, and much more adaptive coping with stress. With what we've covered in gratitude, we can see the benefits. Philip Watkins, he proposed that gratitude increases many aspects of well-being because it amplifies the good in one's life. Gratitude helps us to identify people, relationships, experiences, and things that are important for our well-being and motivates us to engage in these to enhance all the good that can occur in our lives. So as an amplifier, with sound, increases the strength of a sound signal, gratitude increases the signal strength of good things in our lives that we direct attention to. Gratitude makes us value the good things currently in our lives and also good things that have happened in the past by increasing our access to positive memories. I hope this has been helpful in giving you some perspective about gratitude, and this is going to complete our part 1 on gratitude. We will, in part 2, move to looking at hope and optimism. All right, everybody, good luck, and we'll see you in part 2. Hope to see you there. I'm optimistic. Bye now.